Wisconsin Unity Wing. I am so thrilled to be able to welcome all of you to the 22nd annual Martin Luther King Jr. Award Ceremony. The Unity Wing, along with the Division of Student Affairs, we are honored to have with us in attendance our University President, Dr. Elsa Nunez, our keynote speaker, Malik Chaplain, and members of the Eastern community. Today, we recognize Elijah Oliver, Kamisha Wilmot, and Taylor Hempel, recipients of this year's Martin Luther King Jr. Award. Dr. King stood for acceptance, equality, and nonviolent protest. These values continue to shape our society for the better. He famously said that the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. In the tradition of Dr. King's selfless legacy, Elijah, Kamisha, and Taylor have each leveraged their own educations to be able to apply intensive and critical thinking toward actualizing Eastern's mission of celebrating the intersection of our community's multifaceted racial, ethnic, and cultural identities. Coretta Scott King, an American civil rights activist and hero in human rights in her own right, said, "I am counting on the next generation to pick up the still broken pieces of society and to continue the struggle against poverty, greed, and power that Martin and I gave our lives to. Freedom is never really won. You have to earn it, and you have to fight for it in every generation." So in the present generation, we look to leaders like Elijah, like Kamisha, like Taylor, to continue on that struggle for freedom, to spark change among their peers, to elevate the discourse at Eastern. And now it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Dr. Nunez, President of Eastern. Thank you.
This one works. Thank you. You're so organized. We're lucky to have Bethany leading the Intercultural Center. She has impeccable academic credentials, and her life and her core values have been focused on issues of social justice. Bethany, thank you for being at Eastern. I want to apologize. I'm going to read my comments and rush out. I have a 91-year-old mother, and just before I was coming, I got an emergency phone call from the caregiver, so I think I need to be there, and I will be there, but I never leave an event as important as this one if it wasn't an emergency, so thank you for understanding. I want to start my comments by offering my warmest congratulations to our three awardees. I couldn't be prouder. They are so deserving of this recognition. Eastern student Taylor Hempel, Kamisha Wilcott, who's the Associate Director in the Center for Community Engagement, and Elijah Oliver, who is the Enrollment Services Coordinator at Manchester Community College. They're all to be commended for what they've done in their outstanding work for our community. They love their campuses where they work, and they are dedicated to the community in many significant ways, and you'll hear much more about that. But I want to extend my congratulations to them and tell them that the three of them are role models for all of us. Congratulations. Malik Chaplain, we're honored that you're here, and we're looking forward to your keynote address. We know that you wrote a wonderful book. If you didn't see it yet, you should see it and buy a copy on Amazon.com. That would be great. And if you can buy more than one copy on Amazon.com. But Malik has also focused on issues of social justice, and he'll share his perspective, and we're lucky that he's here to give the keynote address. In addition to these three outstanding leaders, we are here to honor the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King. For many of us, it feels like the progress made over the past 50 years to protect individual rights and advance the cause of social justice is being eroded. This was a very hard event for me to come to, not just because of what happened with my mom, but because I just feel like so much is being eroded in our society. So I want to stay positive, and this weekend in preparation for this talk, or these comments, it's not a talk, I really thought deeply about the words of Martin Luther King and hope that today's inspiration from the 3 awardees and the keynote address will help us get back on the right track to focus on how to fight back for everything that's being eroded. Dr. King's teachings and his inspirational life's work can serve to strengthen us and make steel of our resolve. I have spent some time these past few days thinking and reading about Dr. King's writings, and I must tell you, there is clarifying power in his words. And in these times, if you need them, open the book where his readings are written, and you will be inspired and grounded in reality that is fair and just. Dr. King was a thoughtful man, an intelligent man. He spoke and wrote volumes of wisdom during a short time on earth. I want to focus today on his thoughts on courage, for it is courage that steels our 3 awardees today. That's the steel in their backbone that makes them do the work they do. We know that you and I have to have the courage to summon that strength as we move forth to continue our struggle each day. Let me begin by sharing with you some of Dr. King's thoughts on the courageous path that he took. He said, eloquently, our lives begin to end the day that we become silent. About the things that matter. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy, like today. He who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps perpetuate it. He who accepts evil without protecting and protesting against it is really cooperating with it. Nonviolence is an absolute commitment to the way of love. Love is not an emotional dash, nor is it an empty sentimentalism. It is an active outpouring of one's whole being into the being of another. There comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor polite, nor popular. But he must take it because conscience tells him it is the right thing to do. These brilliant words of wisdom speak to the strength of courage as the force that moves men and women to seek justice in an unjust world. And they remind me of 3 things that we must continue to do today as we confront the unsettling time in our country. First of all, you and I cannot be silent. We must have the courage to speak out every day against oppression and injustice whenever we see it and to whomever it's done. We cannot be numb to thinking abnormal behavior like we're seeing today is normal. It is not. They are not. Secondly, we cannot act in anger. That won't get us much. We must act out of love, as Dr. King said. It is the most powerful force on the planet and is the force that makes us human. And I must add, it is the most difficult thing for us to do. Finally, we cannot succumb to violence. We made so much progress in this nation because of Dr. King in the 60s in the civil rights movement that I don't want to damage what he's done. We have done so because we have consistently taken the high road and said, we will not bow to that. We will not be that. We will be better than that. It is the road we must continue to follow. You and I have a moral obligation to speak out. We have a moral obligation to act out of love, and we have a moral responsibility to keep our anger intact. Resist violence as he did. Each of us can find the courage to do these things and to help realize the big dream, the grand dream, the wonderful dream that Dr. King dreamt for us. This will be a better place if we continue to live his legacy. Today, let us recognize our 3 awardees for their own commitment to Dr. King's principles. Let us celebrate and embrace the respect and commitment to diversity we share on this campus, because we really do respect diversity. We love diverse backgrounds, we respect diverse opinions, and we love the fact that people have diverse talents and can contribute to this community. Let us never forget Dr. King's message that each person in this world deserves to live in a just, caring society, and that we can never let violence, bigotry, and inhumanity prevail. Instead, you and I will care for each other, make sure that we're safe in the best sense of that word. We will continue the active, nonviolent struggle for justice and equality, and my friends, you and I will always conduct ourselves with dignity, as Dr. King would have wanted us to. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nunez.